In this video content, friends, we will see how to get high quality and realistic renders with ChatGPT. However, you will truly learn the importance of writing the correct prompt. In other words, writing the correct command. Thanks to this video, friends. But one of the most important points is that you will learn the difference between paid and free render engines, how much free render engines stand out compared to the paid ones, and how good they are. With this video, friends, it truly became a video that serves as a compass, friends. I would be very happy if you watch this video until the end and share it with your friends. Your comments are really important to me. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I would be very happy if you like the videos. Let's continue watching the video together. A render engine worth 3,400 lira or a completely free render engine? I want to interject here with a really important topic. The monthly price of the Enscape render engine is 3,400 TL, friends, and we have two render engines that are more capable than Enscape. One is the D5 and the other is the Twinmotion render engine, friends. Now, some of the library data within D5 is also paid. In fact, 80% of the library data within D5 is paid. However, when we switch to Twinmotion, we have a completely free render engine. But if you ask, which is more capable among D5, Enscape, and Twinmotion, D5 and Twinmotion are more capable. Now, I want to ask you a question, and write this under the comments of this video. Why should I pay 3,400 TL monthly when I have two free render engines, friends? Write this under the comments, and towards the end of the video, friends, we will all see together how to render night, day, and morning with ChatGPT. Now, let's be honest. What would you think if I told you that you could get the same quality for cheaper or even for free? Which one would you choose? Today, we are going to get to the heart of this issue, friends. Now, friends, I want to talk about the second important point. This is a really important point. As you know, back in 2017, 2018, and 2019, and even before, when we had the V-Ray render engine, we used to wait for hours for the render time. But now, we are not waiting for the render time, friends. And not only are we not waiting for the render time, but the fact that it's free is a big advantage for us. Since 2017 and 2018, friends, apart from educational content, I haven't been using the V-Ray render engine for regular, well-received client design projects that I have taken on externally. Why would I use the V-Ray render engine when D5 and Twinmotion are available and free, friends? But this is not just a software choice. It's also the story of how we solve problems, find solutions, and prepare for the future. If you're ready, let's dive a little underwater. Let's explore the ways of visuality, intelligence, and making a difference together. Those who have followed me before know this very well. Friends, if you stick to one render engine, if you use only one render engine, both your development time and process will be that much slower, friends. Now, I'm saying the same thing for artificial intelligence. If you don't adapt your problem-solving process in your work with artificial intelligence, friends, you'll fall behind. In 2017-2018, when the real-time render engine was released, I said this. I mentioned that processor-focused render engines like V-Ray were over, and a new era had begun. Friends, as you know, currently, one of the most used render engines is D5 and Twinmotion render engine. It shouldn't be too difficult to see the past. Now, if we are not using ChatGPT, Gemini, or other artificial intelligences to solve or use more efficiently within our work process, we will continue to stagnate, just like our friends who used V-Ray in 2017 and 2018. Friends, in the past, we used to spend hours on a scene. We used to try to reach a solution through trial and error. But now, artificial intelligence tools are not just for visualization, friends. They perceive the problem, suggest solutions, and even implement them on your behalf. This takes us to a new point. Now, the issue is not just about modeling well or placing lights correctly. The issue is about accurately describing what we want, entering the prompts we previously explained correctly, adapting quickly, and using the tools efficiently. Those who fall behind these tools will really be left far, far behind. Therefore, a successful visualization expert today should not only have technical knowledge, but also problem-solving reflexes, creative intelligence, and adaptability. So it's no longer about saying I know how to render, but rather I can produce solutions. Recently, my phone rang. Friends, a follower whom I love very much but haven't seen in a long time called. Between 2017 and 2019, and between 2016 and 2019, during these 3 years, because I worked in the city center, friends passing through the city center would meet with me, have a coffee, and by sharing their experiences and mine, we established truly wonderful friendships and relationships thanks to SketchUp Turkey. I also met many friends here, benefiting from their vision suggestions and my own experiences, and shared them with others. And by benefiting from the experiences of others, we continued this part within a development process. Now, friends, I want to ask you the third important question. What is a bottleneck? A bottleneck is anything that creates obstacles or problems for you within both the education plan and the work plan. Friends, in other words, we call the part that results from a blockage a bottleneck. In the previous discussion, what was the render engine that created a bottleneck for the person, friends? It was the very render engine. What happened next? It became the Corona render engine. What happened after that? For D5 and Twinmotion, for these, in other words, to provide the client with a quick render, for fast interaction, to deliver higher quality renders and animations quickly, that bottleneck needed to be resolved. As a result of a research, I was consulted, and consequently, the decision was made to switch to a render engine like D5 or Twinmotion. Of course, in terms of office organization, the transition process to the render engine might take some time, but I would like to say that it truly opens up a significant bottleneck in terms of efficiency. Now that we are working from home, these meetings don't happen very often. But we still continue to meet with our colleagues. To get to the heart of the matter, friends, our journey that started with Vray previously continued with Corona Render. And these friends, as we mentioned at the beginning of the topic, started looking for a new render engine when they felt the inefficiency in the workflow of an office during the analysis and production process, because the understanding and usage of computers and render engines today are gradually changing. Friends, the question he asked me is this: the D5 or Twinmotion? Both of these are free, friends. I smiled, because it's one of the questions I've heard at least 5 times today. And my answer is always the same, friends. It depends on what you want to do. Look, now there's ChatGPT, there's ideogram.ai. There are many artificial intelligence applications. When you provide the model as a sketch, you can prepare a preliminary render with artificial intelligence and show the client how the render will look before starting the actual render. You can get product renders. You show the dimensions and sketches or details of the product renders to the user before passing them to the render engine to explain. It's no longer about rendering. Now, solutions and efficiency are very important, friends. The issue is to quickly apply the right solution according to the nature of the work. In the next section, friends, you will see how to get a render with ChatGPT, which you will watch in a few seconds. Initially, you will see how the transition from a sketch image to a render image occurs, and then how the day and night images are formed from the render image, friends. However, the important criterion here is writing prompts. We will all see together the impact of the commands entered with prompts and how they affect the visual, friends. This is truly an important effect. Writing prompts and applying them requires a certain level of experience and expertise, friends. As a result of this experience and expertise, you will achieve truly high-quality results. Now, let's all watch together the visual feast we created with ChatGPT, friends. By the end of the topic, we realized the following, friends. A good rendering engine is important. Being free is even more important. Artificial intelligence tools are gaining speed. They provide us with momentum and efficiency in our analysis process. But more important than all of these is your approach. Are you someone who just draws and delivers a project, or are you someone who analyzes problems, lists solution alternatives, empathizes with the client, and integrates technology into your own vision? Please write in the comments, because the future competition will be won not with software knowledge, but with the synthesis and analysis process, friends. Working fast is no longer a skill. The issue is seeing the right place quickly and entering the correct data. Now, here's what I want from you. Which engine do you prefer? Paid or free? Do you use AI tools according to your own analytical and visionary abilities? And remember, tools can evolve, but you are and will always be the one who determines the direction. Friends, I am Ufuk Sen. I invite you to subscribe to our channel and leave comments. See you again in a different content. Thank you, with love and respect.